look, if there is a Mount Rushmore of filmmakers in the American canon, 4 that you are going to engrave into the side of a mountain, I think it's fair for us to say that Steven Spielberg is not going to be on that fucking mountain because of this goddamn movie. Like, he went from Jaws.
Harsh.
He went from Jaws to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then he followed this with Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. And snuck in the middle of that was this racist. Yeah, that takes some of the funny away. But look, this movie is 45 minutes too long, and it's 2 hours. It takes Jim Belushi, and it uses him so poorly that Jim Belushi walked around in a T-shirt that said Steven Spielberg, 1946, his birth year, to 1941, his death year. This Jim Belushi, who was in the movie, ripped apart Steven Spielberg for this movie. It opens. This is how this movie fucking opens. You ready? It opens with a title scroll about Pearl Harbor. And here are my notes. The open with a Pearl Harbor title scroll, and already I'm worried. Then we open with a lady in the misty ocean water with a total Jaws ripoff. Spielberg came in hot off of Jaws and Close Encounters, but that's a little fucking low. Asking the audience to laugh about your recent success, I'm sure it landed in the theater, but go fuck yourself, Steve. John Williams,
just to clarify,
how do you lower
Jeff,
yourself to do that?
That was the woman from Jaws.
Was it the woman from Jaws?
He brought her in to redo his opening sequence. Yes,
So they start doing the Jaws movie. They're out in the ocean, and it turns out that it's a Japanese sub, and the Japanese soldiers are looking, and they decided this is a really risky fucking thing. They decided to do. They decided to not put in the subtitles for the Japanese dialogue. Instead, they made their speech the most blatant, absurd, over-the-top Japanese stereotype tropes, including saying, like, Hollywood, and pointing, and everybody going, ooh, Hollywood. It is a joke. It is disgusting. It made me want to throw up, and we're not even 5 minutes into this movie.
I have to buzz you, but I don't want to. You're right.
Off the bat, you're watching this and you go, I know, because I've seen From Here to Eternity, I know that there was that sentiment going on, and I know that the military spewed some racist shit early on to get everybody fucking fired up to fight the Japs. I know that, like, for generations, like, your grandpa would be like, oh, the Japs, and it's like, all right, man, come on, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving, go to sleep. Yep.
But this is a comedy, and they thought that would be... He thought that would be funny. And you're sitting there in the future and you go, oh my God, this is Steven Spielberg. Like, how oh my God. Oh my God. I like my jaw was on the fucking ground. I can't believe they did this. I can't believe he did this. I know he's sorry about it. I know he's sorry about it in hindsight, but it's just, I can't fucking believe this movie happened.
So
this is a positive film podcast.
So listeners, just a little clue you in there. Before we started recording this segment, Jeff said, I don't really want to talk very much about 1941. So I'm glad you just went the fuck off.
There's a line that Jim Belushi says. Jim Belushi, he says he's in a plane and he's getting shot at. And he says, I'm an American. Can you tell the difference? There's another line where he's shooting at the Japanese. He said, eat lead, slant. He calls them slant, and it's supposed to be funny. This is tough, man. This is
all right. So there are a few things. Few things I kept thinking about when I was watching this monstrosity of a film. I mean, this thing is, good Lord, I'll drink just to have some fun, but I'm right. That's not even a criticism.
We're all going to drink a lot.
Good Lord Almighty. There are a few things I kept thinking about. One was my co-host Jeff saying that Steven Spielberg makes movies for old grandpas. And I kept thinking about that while I was watching this.
Point fucking proven.
What is his obsession with their generation? First of all, it's just, I couldn't stop thinking about Steven Spielberg while I was watching this. I was like, why the fuck is he so obsessed with that generation?
He has actually said that this movie was a product of his arrogance.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That opening is... Fuck you, dude. I cannot believe he opened parodying his own movie.
There's a point in the middle, and I can see where he considered turning it into a musical, and his comment to that was it might not have suffered for it.
Honestly, it would have been
out of the director's mouth.
All right, so and why did he probably say the musical? This was the second thing I kept thinking about when I was watching this. This movie would have been brilliant if Mel Brooks would have written and directed it. There are 100% things.
Yes, although
I know what you mean, but you say that, but like, how are any of his movies and funny? They're hilarious. Why is Blazing Saddles so funny? And it's the most inappropriate thing you've ever seen. Steven Spielberg is clearly not very good at
Spaceballs. Is at least kind of walks the line, but
I think he's good at that.
Not offended a lot of people.
I mean, so before we destroy Steven Spielberg, like comedy is hard, right? Like everyone hears that. No one really knows what that means unless they've like given it a shot and stuff. And I think this is a good example. If anybody wants to waste their time and watch 1941, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see that Steven Spielberg is good at certain things. And even in this movie, there are a couple elements of the filmmaking stuff that he still pulls off okay. They make no sense in the context of the movie. The big giant set pieces. Why on earth does an entire house fall into the ocean at the end of this movie?
Just because he wanted to do that.
Oh, let me call these motherfuckers out. Segment? Yeah.
Let me call these motherfuckers out. You guys know who wrote this?
He knocks a house off the cliff.
You guys know who wrote this motherfucking thing?
I'm sorely disappointed.
Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis, the co-writers of fucking Back to the Future, fucking wrote this script. And it was called The Night That Japs Attacked.
That's why I'm thankful for this movie, because I'm sure when it came to write and direct Back to the Future, I bet it was like, okay, let's not do what we did last time.
Let's not do what we did last time. Just technically, all right. So I feel like we're going to end up talking about like why this isn't funny. Like I had never been challenged that much while watching a comedy to try to determine for myself why I wasn't laughing. Like and I'm not going to take away too much from.
There were like five things.
All right, where do we even start? There were some things I laughed at. Where do we even start? Let's start with this man, Steven Spielberg. I think he thinks some things are funny. So again, to call you back, Jeff. The stuff in his movies that we have said, like the Indiana Jones, I feel like he made this for old grandpas. The stuff that he thinks is funny is just not funny. So like he has a lot of ideas that he thinks are going to be successful that are not because they're ideas, because he doesn't know how to bring ideas into fruition in a comedy. The filter he puts on his lenses, you can barely see this fucking movie. It's so overly filtered. So even that is like an idea. Like I bet when they were sitting around in their room, they were like, hey, let's put a ridiculous filter on it. Sure, that may have been funny for one scene if you were commenting on the fact that old movies kind of looked like that, but not the entire movie. So even technically, I hated it just because I thought he was just using all these cliches of wide coverage and not using too much coverage and having that kind of filter on there. Oh, come on, give me a break. He had Dan Aykroyd, John Candy,
but I have to.
He had John Candy, Jim Belushi, and Dan Aykroyd in this movie, and none of them are very funny in it. That you must be doing something really wrong if those three guys in 1979 aren't making you laugh.
Dude,
so for me, it came down to story.
That first scene in the diner, Dan Aykroyd fucking phoned that in.
He made me laugh a little bit with the speech he gives before he gets hit in the head, where he's like, "You think they don't know who Walt Disney is? You can't. The Japs don't care about Walt Disney."
It's hard to watch in the future. He also says, "Do you want to eat rice and fish heads in the morning?" No, then we have to band together. It's hard. It's hard.
Well, you want to forgive them because it's comedy. It's farce too. So, like, if this was in the hands of a genius like Mel Brooks, you would be laughing at that stuff because you would be allowed to laugh at it.
Yeah, because Mel Brooks would have written different jokes.
Written different performances. But again, honestly, you guys, like, how do you break this down? For me, ultimately, at the end of this, I realized this doesn't work because there is no fucking story. You don't care. Who's the lead of this movie? Anybody.
To that point, who's the lead?
Just buzz both of you.
I have no idea.
I don't know what
Ask me. I don't know. Is it the guy who's just trying to hit on the chick by pretending he knows about planes?
Oh, man.
It should just be. Sexism, man. It should just be Dan Aykroyd and John Candy going around trying to install guns in random people's homes. Like, that would have been a funny movie, I guess.
Yes, because it would have had a story.
I think I wrote in 52 minutes. It's almost like they just wanted the mayhem sequence. So there's like a USO dance happening across the street from a screening of Dumbo at the same time on this night. And everybody's meeting there. There's all these fights. And so it's like the USO dance with all the soldiers asking the women and all of their boyfriends getting in fights. And then all the generals are like crying at Baby Mine from Dumbo. And it's almost like they just wanted that sequence to be insane. But we're not even halfway into the movie. And now, I don't know, 200 people are in a fight. And I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. Why should I care about how I just want this fight to be over. I just want it to stop.
Yeah.
People, and also, and it's a farce, so it's funny. It's brilliant. It's like Steven Spielberg is a mathematician. So every time a gun goes through a window, by a gun I mean like a cannon, kind of like a huge.
Dude, if he's a mathematician, he forgot to show his fucking work.
Yeah,
you're right. I want to see because like you can see the continuity for the most part checks out. There's some really interesting stuff going on, but what a waste. And also John Williams' score is kind of fun, even though every now and it's almost like he realized the movie was bad, and he just
like
went, you know
score
what?
from Stripes.
Star Wars. And interesting, Stripes. Yeah, I was gonna say it was
Stripes,
I was saying he was testing out Raiders.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have no idea who to root for at all. I have no idea what the story is. I have no idea. Right. It's just fucking mayhem. And I think it's From Here to Eternity. I think he's trying to do some From Here to Eternity because there's a bunch of different plot lines. I'm going to jump in here.
I'm going to go down a point list I made. Point 1.
We're never working for DreamWorks, by the way, so it doesn't matter.
The only film that should have an opening scroll that long is fucking Star Wars.
Or Spaceballs. Spaceballs, too. Spaceballs would have been funny.
His first idea was not
did
funny.
It better.
The very first idea isn't funny. The long scroll.
That's what I was trying to say at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, the opening scene. I can't wait for that to show up on the Disney Plus network and have them add bad CGI hair to her ass when it ends up there.
Yeah, because, she's like naked. It's really strange. Two positive points out of this whole film. John Belushi has never not made an awesome entry on film.
That is the best. I laughed when he popped up, when he jumps up.
His entry is funny, yeah.
Yes.
And the way he's looking at that map is really funny. I don't know how they filmed that sequence. I don't know how that stunt pilot didn't crash into a mountain.
The best joke in the film is when they're trying to cram the radio into the submarine, and the Japanese guy's like, "We have to find a way to make this thing smaller," but the joke isn't even in fucking English.
Yeah,
it's like that's the best joke in the whole movie.
The writing,
yeah,
that's a liberal use of the word joke, but I'll
it is. But it's a throw to stuff we already know, and like granted, yeah. I'm so glad that in writing comedy we moved past the innuendo dick jokes for comedies. Because let's face it, we have a little bit. Like comedy got a little bit clever. It's not just like it. And the funny thing is, I was watching this with my wife, and I don't know what was funnier, the movie or the fucking look on her face while we were watching it.
At any given point, all the fucking
you guys,
like her jaw was on her fucking chest half the time. It's like, what the hell is this shit? And
honestly,
you
dude,
can tell the person who made it was skilled.
But I mean, it got nominated for an Oscar for cinematography. But like, the shots and everything is skilled, but the script was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
like you've got dick jokes. You've got the guy trying to get the girl on the plane so she'll shag him. It's like what? Like no, this is
also
this is comedy that doesn't work in the modern era.
What's up with writers? The fatal flaw for a woman is actually just if the man says the right thing. So what is it about like writing these women where they're like, look, I'm not buying your shit. I'm a strong, independent woman. And he's like, well, what about this plane? And she goes, planes. My weakness. Well, no, that was all of a sudden she's no longer a strong, independent woman.
That was a trope in the 70s and 80s. Like it went through that. It went through Porky's. It went through Screwballs. It went through like all these movies that were released in that time period. Like it was like if you get this girl in a particular place, she will shag your ass off. And it was like
Steven Spielberg.
I don't think Steven Spielberg
the
had
plane
anything
sex...
to do with that. Like he was directing what was written. I don't think he changed that.
I don't know. He's a powerful dude.
Not at the time. Do you think
Steven Spielberg? Do you think? Yeah, he had two of the biggest hits of all time leading up to this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, he had 2 movies.
He was like 30 years old when he made this.
Do you think?
30,
I think
32.
he goes to. I think he goes to anonymous meetings, whatever denomination, and he goes, "Hi, my name is Steven Spielberg. Hi, Steven Spielberg." And he goes, "It's been 11 years since I've made 1941." And then he starts his speech. I just want to know: do you think?
All right.
He feels bad about the fact that his 2 worst movies are the racist Japanese movie and The Color Purple? Like, do you think he feels really bad that those are the 2 worst ones?
Was The Color Purple bad?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad movie.
It's a fine movie, but he even said, "I'm sorry, I wish it was better." It's what he has actually said. Yeah, it's what he said. I let Whoopi Goldberg's perfect in it. Shout out to Oprah. Shout out to Danny. But anyway,
Steven. Okay, if Steven feels like he could have done better, great. I'm on board with that. I mean, the thing is, like a couple of gripes I have with this is like this was nominated for a cinematography Oscar, which I get for some of the miniature work that was done, but
the miniatures.
Also, it lost to Apocalypse Now, I should point out. And it was included among the American Film Institute's list of 500 movies nominated for the top 100 funniest American movies. So
Buzz that. Buzz that fucking
I propose we now need to include a segment called "What the fuck were they thinking?"
Honestly, no, I'm down for that shit. What the fuck were they thinking, dude?
This is me. I always want to ask people, why did you do that thing?
What were you fucking thinking? Like, and also, like, one of my other favorite gags in this is no one can pour a cup of coffee in this movie.
Which is
anytime anyone pours a cup of coffee, it goes fucking everywhere. It's a running gag. I like running gags, but that's the 2 funny things in this movie.
Spielberg
is awful, you guys.
It's awful. If it all boils down to if you're over 55 and this kind of cheap humor still flies, then it's probably not that bad. If you're under 50, yeah, it's that fucking bad.
I mean,
it also has to. What?
If you're of that mindset, some of this movie, like some of the jokes might land, but 2 hours.
3 of the jokes landed.
The opening diner scene, they're like throwing plates and throwing glasses and stuff, and they're like breaking pictures and they're like cooking in the diner, and then it goes to Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, and you know what? It's cheap fun bullshit. And it's snappy, and it's filmed well. It's just, I mean, 2 hours of that pace and that. Like, I know farces are over the top, but Jesus Christ, I have no idea who to follow. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what the point is. There's this whole air battle that happens, which Jeff, is 2 Americans firing at each other.
Do you have in front of you what the runtime of this movie was?
It's about 2 hours.
Okay, because I can tell you,
it feels like 4 for sure.
Me and Therese, my wife, sat down to watch it, and at about an hour 30, she was on her phone. Looking at other shit.
No, hour 30. I'm proud of her. The fucking farcical sequence where they were dancing, they were in the street.
Then she got up and went downstairs and hung with people. No. Like, it was like, yeah.
So there's this whole air battle that's happening, and they think they're fighting the Japanese, but they're actually fighting another American who's having sex in a plane.
Yes.
And there's this whole battle on the planes.
Because the only place this woman will put out is an aircraft. It's like Porky's all over again.
Her one weakness. She's a strong,
guys, I turned this off.
But she has her one weakness.
I turned this off.
Anyway, there are 30 minutes left after that. This movie finally happens. There's a huge air battle, and then there's another 30 minutes after this. And this is a comedy. It's like, I just look. Spielberg knows this. So
this is not a comedy. It's a fucking travesty. That's what it is.
Audience, don't go see
I stopped watching this. I can't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time I only watched part of a movie. I had to turn it off at about an hour in. I just stopped it last night. I was like, I can't.
Guys, I'm so pissed off. I'm so pissed off about this movie. I have launched a denial of service attack on the website that generated the random number that gave us this year.
I didn't even realize that was Christopher Lee.
I just admitted to a federal crime. I'm so pissed off about this.
I mean, this movie's so ridiculous that Christopher Lee is in the movie and he only speaks German. So it's like obviously us and the Japanese right after Pearl Harbor in 1941.
Did you read the trivia on that though?
No.
Like
honestly,
he only spoke German. The guy who was the Japanese commander only spoke Japanese for real, and they never understood what each other was saying.
Oh, that's really funny. Also, all the Japanese extras, because they didn't. I don't know what the fuck they were doing.
The only thing that makes I'm sorry.
Like
the only thing that story makes cool is Christopher Lee. Really, this movie sucks.
They cast kids. I don't know what they were doing. They cast kids who were of Japanese descent to play the Japanese.
But they weren't trained.
Dave. What the fuck?
There's a fucking director's cut of this. There's a director's cut of this.
No, he's begging you all to not watch this, and I think we are too. Steve, he really hopes you just rewatch Jurassic Park or something. Not The Lost World, just regular Jurassic Park.
Seriously, go back and watch Harry Potter or something.
Not one of his movies, but yeah, like he'd rather you watch that than this for sure. He made his money back actually, so he was totally fine. He apologized even though this movie made money.
It did just yes.
Anyway,
it looks like Ivan Reitman. They considered having Ivan Reitman do this, but he was directing Meatballs.
Harold Ramis was fired from writing this.
Really?
Because of creative differences.
He was probably trying to
fired so many people from this film for creative differences. It's like the producer went, "Oh, you don't agree with me? Fuck off."
I mean, it's a good lesson, you guys. Watching this, you're like, this is what doesn't work.
Hollywood producers at this time should just fuck off.
Yeah. If you're writing your movie out there and it's not a single person narrative, so you're trying to tie in a bunch of storylines and you want it to be funny and you want them all to converge, watch this movie and just make sure you didn't fall into any of these traps. Not even just the rest, just the story. There are so many. They fall into all the traps. The style is really cool. For about
Jeff drinks and talks at the same time. It's amazing.
I mean, there are so many. There are ensemble movies that are really good. There are Robert Altman who's really good at it. Paul Thomas Anderson is good at it.
From Here to Eternity. That's what this movie wanted to be, the comedy farce version of.
All right,
it is so good.
We have bagged this out enough. This has been a long episode. We have to wrap this up.
Yeah, do you think people want to know if we have more to say about this or what?
Oh my god, no, just don't see it.
What's her name? Right. What's her name? I will give one shout out. My favorite physical comedy performance, I think, was the girl who played Maxine, like the girl's friend who kept going after Stretch. She was just throwing her body all over the place. She made me laugh a few times in all of her stunts. But that's it.
I mean, kudos to everybody else for trying. If this movie was just Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, and Jim Belushi, it would have been. And then Christopher Lee, whatever.
Well, that's like the Blues Brothers. We have that.
Touche.
Yeah, I can't, guys. We can't redeem this. We failed. We failed at redeeming this movie. Don't ever watch it. Don't do it.
Don't ever watch it. Block it out.
We thought it would be fun to watch it and see. Oh, is it really that bad?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hide your folks. Really hide your kids. Don't let anyone watch it.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Look, it is possible for a genius like Steven Spielberg to make this movie. He might still be on the Mount Rushmore, but he's a cusper, that's for sure.
Who else is real fast? Who else is going on Mount Rushmore? I just want to know who else in your mind is on there.
Oh, 100% Scorsese, Kurosawa, and
American filmmakers. I thought American filmmakers.
Dude, don't be racist.
You gotta have Kurosawa, man. Everybody knows Rashomon. Everybody knows Seven
fucking
Samurai.
Kurosawa.
They should know Ron.
He inspired half the people you're talking about.
Kurosawa. Wow, I just fucked it up. Kurosawa, Kubrick. Hey, this is a drinking game. Kurosawa, Kubrick, Scorsese, and then fill in the blank. I don't think there's an obvious fourth, but it could be John Ford.
Wright.
I would put John Ford is probably up there.
Edgar Wright is up there.
Dave talked me out of Coppola, but I would say John Ford is probably the fourth one. Or maybe even Billy Charlie Chaplin or Billy Wilder. Yeah, exactly. And Spielberg changed the game for sure, but I mean...
All right, let's wrap this up. This is going long.
All right, what movies are we going to be talking about?
We also never want to work again in the industry after coronavirus happens. We never want to work ever again.
Yeah, my resume is not going to list this podcast. I can tell you that.
Please pick up our movies. Hey, I heard you guys have a podcast. Do you have a podcast? Yeah. Then it's a no.